And then today's class is going to be centered around pelvic stability throughout the flow series. So really inviting in some inner heat, some warmth, some strength through the trunk of the body, the glutes, the hips, to hopefully support the rest of the body. So we're just gonna get going here in a moment. Welcome, my name is Meg. I will be guiding you through your stability flow practice. So if at any point in time you do need more props, feel free to go grab them. But we will begin on our backs. So take your time to come on down and just bend the knees. Then actually just step the feet a little bit wider and drop the knees into center to touch. Take both palms to your belly and then utilize the next few exhalations to really let go of your morning. As you really let the exhale draw out, really begin to notice the weight of the back body, the sink of the hips. Feel the inhale rise into your palms. Feel the exhale, relax your belly down towards your spine. And just slowing down, internally creating that yielding sense where you check in with what's percolating beneath your surface. Let your joints fall back with gravity. And just begin to connect to the points of your body that are supported by your mat. As you breathe, just feeling your big respiratory muscle, your diaphragm, work as it should. Inhaling, expanding it down and out. Then exhaling it, feeling it hug up and in. Allow your thoughts to slow as the veins of thought begin to subside. You welcome in mindful presence. Feel into the union of breath and body. As it anchors you in this moment, releasing distractions, letting go of the to-do list, and just using breath as a tool to anchor you in this moment, to allow it to harbor you here. Feel the weight of the head sink a little heavier. Feel that slight separation between your back molars. Just allow for breath. As we open up to receiving more nourishing exhalations and inhalations. As we open up to greater clarity and easier thoughts of the mind. As we begin to open up and receive space, begin to plant the seed of gratitude for that space. This moment, this slowdown isn't about essentially stopping thought altogether, but it's about practicing that small sense of detachment. It doesn't mean that we don't care, but it just means that we're allowing for space. Space in mind, space in body. Space between stimulus and reaction. And within that space, there is so much choice to filter. To filter what does serve you and what does not. Take 5 more easy cycles of breath. Just feeling and observing without judgment or criticism. If the eyes are closed or open, just rest them a little heavier. So gently blink the eyes open. Welcome the space that you're in. Take a cleansing breath, bring up some energy. Big sigh. Heel to the feet back into neutral. And then just observe the baseline of where your pelvis is situated on the ground. There should be a little bit of a lumbar arch, just a neutral lower back. Find your hands just down beside you, and then I'm going to invite you to lift your right leg. As you lift your right leg, flex out the right foot. And then notice the stability if your pelvis has changed shape or rotated or tilted at all. I want you to, once again, come back to that neutral spine, keep right and left hip beside each other, and that slight lower back arch, right? It's very small, like there's the tiniest little blueberry under there, don't squish it. And then all we're gonna do is just begin to circle that knee around, begin to engage our pelvic floor and lower abdominal muscles in union with the hip flexors. So as you begin to circle around, notice if the pelvis gets wobbly or tilting side to side, or if it begins to rotate or shift. Can you minimize that tilt, that rotation, as you observe these circles? Right, it's tough because we have to stabilize the hips, we have to stabilize the thigh bone. And then with that, we have to stabilize the rib cage. So we hug it back to our spine, really softening the shoulders down, the arms down, and feeling that anchor through the back body, that inner core fire we need to light up. Okay, other way, nice and slow, start small. There should be no teeter-tottering of the pelvis. Maybe just the smallest micro movements. But everything should be relatively still and strong. Right? When we first start to do this, we're like, oh, it's just lifting our leg, it's pretty easy, but as you begin to get bigger and bigger with these circles, you really notice, oh my goodness, my hips are flailing all over. So we just begin to shorten those movements and draw that range of motion back in. Okay, last 3, 2, last 1. Plant the right heel. Now once more, rebalance into your hips, neutral pelvis, finding that baseline. Try to keep that. Hands planted, shoulders to the earth, neck and head are relaxed. Lift your left knee, flex the left foot. Now again, stabilize the pelvis. Same idea, nice and slow, just beginning to circle that knee in one direction to start. Start small. Notice where it gets really tough to hold the stability of the pelvis. Noticing that anterior or posterior tilt through the hips. Right, whether they're overly pushing into the mat or if they're overly reaching up to the ceiling. And again, just notice as you gradually get bigger and bigger how much more it takes to stabilize in that hip. One hip might feel a little bit stronger than the other. That's okay, that's normal. It's like our eyebrows. The balancing sides of our bodies never quite match no matter how hard we try. Okay, ready? Other way, start small. And notice if you're holding your breath. Can you come back to the easy rhythmic flow of it? Right, we're moving and observing whilst breathing. And what's cool about this is because we are circling the femur head around in the thigh bone, in the hip socket, we're actually warming up the hips and glutes as well. Getting all juiced up and lubricated and hydrated for practice. Good, last 3, 2, 1. Drop that foot. Good, now, planting your heels, take your hands to your hip bones. I want you to really feel the crests of your pelvis. So you're gonna feel the anterior, superior iliac spines, those front hip bones, those crests that, you know, when you wear low hip huggers that nobody wants to wear, they kind of dig in. I want you to really feel those bones, and then without putting too much effort or pressure into the upper back, this is going to try to stay relatively still. Begin to lengthen your tailbone towards those heels. Take the lower spine flush with the mat. Feel that tone to the belly, right? Now, tilting the opposite way, rock your pelvis, rock the sit bones down, begin to arch into the lower back ever so slightly, maybe even just a millimeter or centimeter, half an inch. Create a little arch. Good, just working small pelvic top rocks to begin to minimize or begin to mobilize the pelvis. And we really wake up the abdominals here, front and back, deep tissue and superficial. Really just notice what it feels like to isolate just the pelvis, just the lower spine, right? To mobilize the lower spine, we really ask the pelvic floor, we ask those really small muscles to support the hips, the belly, and the head, neck, and shoulders are just doing their best to relax. You might feel a little pressure on the feet. That's okay, that's normal. Good, let's go for another 5, 4, really cinching hip bones to ribs, 3, rocking and rolling, 2, last 1. Good, find a neutral flat back, just relax. It's tough, right? Okay, my friends, once again, lift the shin bones parallel to the ground so you're in this supine table. Reach your arms to the ceiling. Now, already right here, I want you to think about the stack of the thigh bones. Think about how your pelvis is sitting in space. We still want that very slight lower back arch. It's tiny, like you could slide a piece of paper there, and flex the feet. Now, we're gonna move the same side leg, same side arm, stabilizing pelvis and ribs. I do not want you popping or flaring the bum or ribs. Nice and slow, we're gonna reach the left foot, left arm away, any amount that you can contain the spine without flaring, tilting, or rotating it, and then bring it back together. Good, right side, inhale, reach away. Exhale, back together. So every single time you bring it back, I want you to really notice the shin bones parallel, the thigh bones stacked. So we're not pulling the knees past the hips, we're stabilizing. Good. So same side arm, same side leg move with your breath. Inhaling out, and exhaling in. You should feel that support around the pelvis, from hip bone to hip bone, from pubis to belly button. Even from the rib cage to the hip bones, you're gonna feel this. Good, let's go. Last 10, 9, 8, 7. I even like to fan my toes, keeping a little engagement through the lower limbs. Good. Last 5, 4, 3, last 2, last 1. Good. Holding that tabletop. Now, thinking about the stability of ribs and hips, breathe in, breathe out. Opposite arm and opposite leg, finding that bilateral movement now. Kicking left heel, right arm away, stabilize, and then bring it back in, right? I always think slower is better for these, so opposite arm, opposite leg. It's okay if you're out of sync with me, it's okay if you're out of sync from your neighbors. Really begin to feel that inner hold, as if you're being corseted or braced around the hip bones and the rib bones. Last 10, 9, 8, 7. Notice your pelvis if it's tipping or rotating. In the home stretch. Last 5, 4, lengthen tailbone. 3, neutral lower back. 2, last 1, knees to chest, gentle compression. Push your tailbone long as you hug in, roll the shoulders down and back. Take a cleansing breath in. Big sigh out. Next time you're gonna sigh out saying yum with the lips closed. Breathe in. Keep the pelvis still. Bring your palms to hug the notches just below the knees, the tibial notches. Then nice and slow, just begin to wing the knees wide. And then exhale, wing the knees in, almost as if you're compressing, massaging up the front of your hip flexors. Keep the back body broad and heavy. Shoulders are light and relaxed. Good. One more supine exercise before we get flowing. Good. Knees together. Bring the feet back down to your mat. I'm just going to slide forward so I get a little more traction on the sticky part of my mat. Now feet are parallel, alt and toes pointing in the same direction. Knees and hips and heels are all in one line. And try not to let them deviate, fall in or fall out. I want you to really think about keeping that alignment. So imagining that there are magnets on your hip bones and they're being magnetized to the roof. Plant your hands down. No tension in the neck or shoulders because you're really using the shoulders to catch the body weight. Creating that little bridge with the inhale, pressing the heels down. Drive the hips forward and up. Lift both hip bones up equally. Good. Make sure the knees aren't falling in or out. And you should have about 50% of the energy in the legs and 50% of the energy in the glutes. Lengthen the tailbone like you're scooping the pelvic bones in towards the ribs and the tailbone hugging towards the wall in front of you or the top edge of your mat. Good. For 3, for 2, 1, lower down, pause. Now really notice that tilt of your pelvis as we lift it up. If there's an anterior tilt with the tailbone pointing back or a posterior tilt with the hip bones overly hugging forward, and try to find that in between space. Second set, breathe in. Breathe out, curl it forward and up, like the tailbone's trying to shoot past the knees are shooting past the toes. And then push a little more firmly through the outer heel edges. Good, now can you lift higher? As you dig through the outer heel edges, can you almost feel like the heels are trying to draw inwards? So the knees are pushing outwards, the heels are drawing inwards. It's not like they're actually going to move, but you're just feeling that interaction. And exhale, lower. Good, one more set, breathe in, sigh out. Here we go, nice and slow, keep your gaze up. Press the hips forward and up. Good, equal weight between left and right foot. Hip bones are square up to the roof, one hip's not dropping below the other. Make sure the knees aren't falling in or out. Notice your breath. Notice if you can make your spine longer here. Any back tension, any sprains or strains, you'll just lessen this movement, maybe do it with a block under your hips by all means. But again, this is your practice. I give you options and you make responsible choices for your body. So if I do cue you into anything that doesn't serve, you do not have to do it. So slow, begin to lower. Good, just pause. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Bridge the arms overhead, cactus or retreat, and just allow the joints to fall back for a few breaths. Let the pelvis be neutral. Release the glutes. Inhale, bring the knees together. Nice and slow, roll onto your side and come up to all fours, tabletop. So I'm just going to shift my blanket. I'm going to grab my blocks and bring them to the top of the mat. I just have them framing the mat just so that they are close. And then bring your chair up a little bit too. We're going to be using it once we get to our balancing series. Okay, my in-studio friends, how are we? We're good? We have everything? My online friends, we're good? Okay, from all fours, index fingers point forward, wrist creases stacked underneath the shoulders, and you almost want to feel like you're having that outward pull, like you're trying to turn the hands to the pinky edge side of the mat, the long edge, just so that the elbow creases can turn forward. This allows the shoulders just to hug a little closer to the ribs and further away from the ears. Now, lengthen the spine, neutral lower back here. Good. And then stabilizing the hips, look forward, breathe in. And then exhale, kick the right heel straight back. Notice if you automatically dip into the lower spine. Hug the hip bones to the ribs, reach the tailbone back towards that right heel. Push the crown forward. Breathe in. As you exhale, round and curve the knee into the nose, squeeze in. Now pushing away from the ground, kick it straight back, find that flat back, strong kick of the heel, big toes pointing to the left heel. Nice, exhale, curl in. Inhale, kick back. One more, exhale, curl in. Kick back. Good, turn the right toes outwards, spinning that femur head in the thigh bone, in the hip socket. I can't say hip socket for some reason today. Now drop the inner right hip down, but keep turning the right toes out. Now bend that right knee in towards the right shoulder. Kick it straight back. Equal weight between both hands, look slightly forward of the fingertips, squeeze it in. Kick back. One more, squeeze it in. Now look at the knee, almost like a Spider-Man, or I guess a dog peeing, I know. Bring the knee in and underneath you to hover, hold off the ground 1 inch. Push away from the ground, hips are still stable, spine is long for 3, for 2, for 1, lower the knee down. Beautiful. Walking your hands forward, I'm gonna move back on my mat so I've got a little runway. We're gonna take melting heart, so walking the hands forward until you feel one long line from index finger to tailbone. Now, really claw your fingerprints down into the mat like a tree frog, suctioning the fingertips to the mat. And then begin to lift the sit bones, turning the inner thigh bones up and back. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Again, elbow creases turn in and up. And begin to drop the heart. As you drop the heart, the forehead can land, the chin can land, the chest can land. And if the forehead's having trouble getting to the ground, use a block under the forehead, a block under the chest. And then just begin to dig into the upper back. So you should feel this more through the thoracic spine, the upper spine, and less through the lower spine. Allow your belly to hollow in. Now really tip the sit bones back, so we're really beginning to dig into that anterior tilt of the pelvis. So it's like we're trying to shine the front of the hip bones more forward, back of the hip bones more back. Beautiful. Hug the navel in, inhale. Begin to press back up. Walk the hands back underneath you. And then right away, we're gonna take a counter pose. Come right into your cat. Hug the tailbone under. Squeezing the glutes, begin to round lower, middle, upper back. Push the back of the spine to the roof. Chin humbles towards chest. And again, you're still spinning the pinky edges of the hands towards the long edges of the mat. Now stay for a breath. Beautiful, neutral spine. As you come back to neutral spine, do what you need to do to reset on your mat. Flatten the spine as you pull the crown forward and then send the tailbone back, really locking into this tabletop position like you could serve a tray of tea on your spine. When you're ready, kick the left heel back, flat spine. Make sure you're not dipping in the lower spine, so if you do, hug the hip bones to the ribs, draw more space from heel to head. Good, now turn those left toes to face the right heel. Good, looking forward, breathe in. Exhale, knee to nose, curl and round. Inhale, straight back, elongate. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, kick back. Last time, here we go, squeeze it in. Kick it back. Good, long spine, flat back. Turn the left toes open, so you're spiraling that thigh bone in the hip socket. Try to drop the left hip bone, but turn the left toes out so that the arch is parallel to the ground. Now, thinking about that left tricep, that left shoulder, breathe in, stay long in the side bodies. Exhale, squeeze. Knee to shoulder. Inhale, kick it straight back at that angle. Exhale, squeeze it in. We're getting a lot of extra rotation as we strike that heel back. Last time, squeeze it in, hold. Bring the knee to humble and hover 1 inch above the ground, right above that place where you normally had it. Again, flat spine for 3, 2, 1. Lower the knee down. Beautiful. Let's just tuck the toes under and nice and slow push the hips back to the heels, toe squat, broken toe pose. You can walk the hands in. If you have really long pinky toes, pull them forward. If it feels safe, you can come to stand up on those heels, but if it doesn't, that's okay. At any point in time, fingertips can come down. Now, just gauging your breath once more. Reach the arms forward. If it feels safe for you, we're going to take an eagle arm, right arm underneath left, lock the elbows, squeezing the elbows tight together, go for backs of palms or wrapping all the way around. If that mobility or range of motions is not there for the elbows or shoulders, you can just reach for backs of shoulders. Either way, pushing the hands in together, either back of hands or front of hands. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, feel that broadening in the back body. Push the elbows up and away from the knees, let the fingertips follow. Good, now breathe into your upper back. Now notice the tilt of your pelvis. Are we tilting it forward? Are we tilting it back? Can we find a neutral spine here as we open the feet as well? I know, it's the hardest part. We're like, I'm trying to do everything else to not think about my feet. Last breath. Release the arms, come forward. Good, just release the toes, roll out the ankles. Point and flex the feet. Okay, second set of toe squat, those toes under. Your plantar fascia will thank me later. And again, you don't have to come up, you can keep the hands down. You don't have to get in the shoulders yet, we will still get into them later. So don't feel that pressure. If you are, then maybe check in if it's right for you, or is that ego? Okay, when you're ready, coming on up, reaching the arms forward. Good, feeling the broadening through the balls of the feet. Wrap left elbow underneath right, twist tie once, twice, 3 times, drop the shoulders. Hug the ribs in, push the tailbone down. With the exhale, drive the elbows forward and up. Now pull the head slightly back, and then lift the skin behind the ears. Breathing in, feeling that expansion through the shoulders, that broadening of the back of the heart. One more breath. Gently release. Hands come forward, last time. Roll out the ankles, roll out the toes. Good. Other way. Okay. Bring the shin bones together. Toes are long behind you. Press all 10 toenails into the mat and come to sit back on your heels. Now, depending on the elasticity of our ankles and our quads, you may or may not begin to feel this already. So if you have tight quads, you're probably going to feel this just by sitting. If you have tight ankles, you're probably going to feel this just by sitting down. I'm going to use my blocks to demonstrate, so take the blocks right in behind the heels. Plant the palms of the fingertips face forward, straighten the arms, lift the chest. Now begin to drive the shoelace side of your feet down. Press all 10 toenails down. Squeezing the thigh bones together, begin to lift the knees up any amount. Lift the heart up. Good, shrug the shoulders, head high. Now deepen your breath as you feel this run through the front line of your ankle bones. We're going to feel this through the tops of the feet, getting that tibialis anterior to open. Nice. Now stretching through the feet, right? I think the feet and calves are the windows to the rest of the body, in my opinion, but that's a different conversation. Good, 3, 2, 1. Release the knees down. Bring your blocks forward once more. Come back to all fours. When you're ready, neutral spine, knees stacked under hips, tuck your toes. Bend your knees a lot, and then think about charging your hips back right away as if you're getting into a power child pose or this little crouch, toes tucked, toes tucked. When you're ready, lift the knees 1 inch off the ground, really push the finger pads into the mat. Good, so knees are hovering. And as you look forward, round the elbow creases to the ceiling, armpits widen towards the earth. Now draw your gaze to your knees, keep the knees bent, and then lift the hips up. Good, keep the knees bent, try to push your chest to the thighs. And then nice and slow, begin to press each heel down, find more length through the back body. Find your down dog, Adho Mukha Shavasana. And as you find your down dog, walk it out, pedal it out. Make sure the heels are disappearing behind the toes. Really wing and fan the toes. Now really contain your rib cage in, so we're not dipping into extension in the back. You want a flat back with bent knees. Good. Inhale to tie into your tippy toes. Exhale, ground your heels. Inhale to tie into your toes. Exhale, ground your heels. Last time, inhale, lift high. Look forward, and then tiptoe nice and slow forward to the top of your mat. Feel free to use your blocks or chair to catch you. Right, so you're using your blocks on the highest point. You're just folding down. Hands can rest. Good, Uttanasana, ragdoll. With the head drop. Now if it feels safe, you can begin to pedal the legs. You can begin to lean and flow, sway side to side, like a big palm leaf in the breeze. And then using your blocks underneath your hands, I want you to gently bend the knees, lighten your toes, push your hands down, bring your chest forward, flat back, halfway lift. Now, with softly bent knees, think about the tilt of your pelvis. I want you to tilt your sit bones to the back wall, move your sternum more forward, and then keeping that, exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, halfway lift, same idea. Flare the inner thigh bones back, bring the sternum forward, shoulders hug away from ears, crown reaches forward like you're getting longer. Exhale, fold. Last one, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, shift your blocks. Find your palms, step back into your plank now. From your plank, really rock forward so you get light on the tippy toes and get a little heavier through the finger pads of your hands. So really feeling index pad, fingerprint push down, middle fingerprint, thumb print. So you're taking that pressure off the back of the wrists. Now turning the elbow creases forward, hug the armpits tighter to the lats, look forward. Let's all drop the knees for this first one. Hug your tailbone back towards your heels, so we're not dipping into the lower spine. So you're curling the tailbone back to the heels. Hug hip bones to ribs, feel that firmness. Pull the wrist creases back to the knees, look forward. And then exhale, slow, 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 lower down. So that the chest pulls forward, elbows bend back towards the hip creases, lower down. Good, elbows stay by the side, winging them together like grasshopper legs. Reach your tiptoes long behind you. Press all 10 toenails into the earth. Press your hip bones into the earth, squeezing the bum. Take your heart forward, and then begin to lift the elbows up. The shoulders move down away from the ears, away from the front body so you can get into that cobra. Right, so there's no tension in the lower back, so we're squeezing the glutes. And we're pressing the tailbone towards the heels so the heart can move forward, right? So as much as it's a back bend, I want you to almost feel like you're getting longer in your body rather than more round through the spine. Exhale, release. Pressing the hands down, tuck the toes. Press up to tabletop. Down dog, big sigh. Good, 2 more sun A's, gaze forward. Walk, step, hop, top of your mat, forward fold. Ragdoll heavy. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Again, feeling that tilt, lengthen the sternum. Exhale, fold, and this time, push the feet down, leg toes, root to rise, reach all the way up. Now hugging the tailbone slightly down towards the heels, reaching the fingertips up, get longer. Now strong press with the other heels, bring the hands wide, swan dive, like you're taking the biggest dive ever, heart leads forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms, step back, high plank. Option to drop the knees or keep them lifted. Rocking the weight forward so you feel the finger pads grip, maybe the middle knuckles and the fingers lifts a little bit, a little tenting. Hugging the tailbone back, hugging the shoulders towards the lats. Looking forward, exhale, lower either halfway or all the way down. Moving halfway, roll over the toes, bring the heart forward and up for your up dog. Curling the elbow creases forward, wrap the triceps in towards the ribs so that the shoulder blades can hug back. Feel your wrist creases and hip creases trying to magnetize together. And then hugging the navel in, press the hip bones up and back, down dog. One more sun A, gaze forward. You're gonna walk, step, hop, top of your mat, forward fold. From Uttanasana, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift to the sit bones, sternum pulls forward. Exhale, hinge. Root to rise, feel free to take a little extension at the top as the tailbone hugs down. The ribs lift up, the hands lift up, maybe the armpits lift up as you get a little bit of lift through the front body, but the sternum is trying to touch the roof. And then exhale one more time, swan dive right back down. Big circle of the shoulders and arms. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms, step back, high plank. Option to drop the knees, option to keep them lifted. Curl tailbone back to heels, traction wrist creases to toes, look forward. Exhale, bend elbows halfway, Chaturanga Dandasana, or all the way. Roll over the toes, cobra up dog. Hug triceps to ribs. Exhale, push away from the ground, down dog, big sigh. Now really bend the knees, push the heart back as you gaze between the shin bones. Feel the claws of your palms once more grip down as you burrow all 4 points into the earth. Take a big breath in, closed mouth, hum. Really feel that clear. Inhale, raise your right leg. Hips stay square.
inward turn of that right thigh bone, so the right heel is pointing at the left heel. Now, soften the left knee, dig into the left heel just a little more, get that stretch. Lift the right heel higher, feel that right glute squeeze. And then exhale, look forward. Slowly step the right foot forward to the inside of the right thumb. Spin your left heel down to 45 degrees. Now I'm going to encourage you to grab your chair, bring it to the side of your mat. Curl tailbone down, lift all the way up. Okay, let's break down warrior one. Here we're Virabhadrasana one. So, right toes are pointing relatively forward, right? They're not off at an angle today. So, I want you to really feel strong in the press down of your feet, and that back arch in the left foot is lifted to drive the left heel down. Now, curling the tailbone under, it's like you're sucking your butt forward, hip bone zipper up to ribs. Lift the chest. Feel free to use that chair for balance. Good, maybe one arm lifts, maybe both. But again, what I really want you to notice here is, remember when we were doing that dead bug extension on our back, we were hugging hip bones and ribs tighter together, containing the trunk. So take a little bit of that lumbar arch out of your lower back, right? So sticking the butt back, curl it forward. Nice. If you feel safe, reaching the arms up, cactus the elbows. Good. Shortening the shoulders down, leaning the forearms back. Now, think about twisting to the right without shrinking or rotating or leaning laterally into the spine. You're just going to rotate the chest, let the elbows follow. So just use that natural mobility to turn that chest, take a breath in. Again, keeping hips square forward. Exhale, come back to center. Good, one more time, breathe in. Exhale, rotate. Good, stay for a breath. Come back to center. Beautiful, reach forward, one long line from back heel to crown of head. Now, get lighter on that back foot, get really heavy on the right heel. Your chair is there for balance at any point in time. Square the hip bones down. Now, we're going to be in transition here from that back thigh bone. We're in external rotation with the left leg. We need to take it to internal rotation, so that back heel is going to lift. Flying up, arms forward or back, warrior three, toppling tree. Now, really pushing into that right leg. Draw the right hip up to the ceiling, drop the left hip down. You're stomping that left heel back. Good for 3, for 2. All we're going to do, 1 is crisscross that left ankle behind the right, align your pinky toes, soften the knees. Grab your blocks on their middle or highest points. Now, press the big toe mounds of your feet down, so the left ankle is crossed behind the right. Push the heart forward and up, lengthen, and then exhale, fold. Good, inhale, lengthen. This time look to your right. Walk your hands right, sink your hips to the left. As you sink your hips to the left, get a little longer from left hip crease to left armpit, and even reach out through that extension of the left arm. Now breathe more energy, more space into that left side body. Should feel this lengthen from the outer left hip, maybe down the IT bands, the connective tissue holding the IT bands. Last breath. Beautiful, walk the hands back into center. Now, I want you to uncross that left leg, hug it into the chest. Curl yourself into a teeny tiny little ball. As you curl in, hug the tailbone under, feel the ribs and hip bones trying to magnetize tight. Now, can we hover and hold and squeeze into that tiny ball for 3? That right butt cheek is going to scream. 2, 1, nice and slow, lift your chest, lower the left foot down, you're automatically in chair pose. Rock the hip bones under, so the hip bones and ribs are magnetizing together, and allow that to lift the chest. Now, feel the weight of your body back into your heels, the toes get light, and there's almost an equal amount of pressure between inner and outer heel edges, and then big toe mound, pinky toe mound. Good. As you take that lumbar arch out of your lower back, reach the arms forward and up. Shrug the shoulders away from your ears. Good, can we sit deeper? Can we sit deeper? Feel like you're almost trying to tear the mat in half with your feet. The inner upper thigh bones are stabilizing the outer hips for 3, for 2, 1, forward fold, let it spill. Inhale, halfway lift. Shift your blocks, exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back to your plank. As you step back to your plank, I want you to look forward, traction wrist creases back to toes, stay strong for 3, for 2, now listen close. 1, lower just the left knee down, left shin bone. Push the shoelace side of that foot down. Anchor the left palm underneath the left shoulder, left index finger pointing to the top of your mat. Now begin to turn the right inner arch down to your mat. Begin to stack the hips, Stack the ribs, stack the shoulders. Modified side plank, Vasisthasana. Reach it up and overhead. Get longer from right heel to right fingertip. So push the right heel into the ground and begin to feel that inner shake through the inner right thigh. A little bit of adductor work here to almost lift the hips higher. Lift it higher. Reach longer. Breathe in. Bring the head back in line with the heart. Breathe out. Right fingertips touch down through the top of the mat. Tuck the right toes. Inhale. Kick straight up and back. Three-legged dog. Left heel high now. Now as you square the hips, left toes point at the right heel. Bend your right knee. And again, feeling the pads of the fingers burrow into the earth. Softening the right knee, really open up through the viscous tissue of the Achilles tendon, through the calf, should feel good. And then look forward nice and slow. Pull forward with the exhale. Step the left foot forward to the inside of the left thumb. Spin the right heel down. We're getting into warrior one right onto that other side. Now notice if your hip bones are pointing to the top right hand corner of your mat. I want you to adjust the angle of that right foot to any angle that feels best for you to turn that right hip bone forward so that your hip bones are as close to facing the center line of the mat as possible, just depending on your mobility, depending on the shape of your femur heads. Curling the tailbone down and bring it up. And again, use that chair for balance. There, use the wall. Now, instead of dipping into the lower back, squeeze the bum, take the left hip crest forward, and then hug the rib bones in. And then when it feels safe, go ahead, press more firmly through both heels like you're trying to tear your mat in half, and then bend that front knee deeper to the third toe. You've got it, good knee tracking. Reach the arms forward and up. Exhale, soften the shoulders. Let yourself anchor into that Zen state of the warrior, right? Warriors aren't panicked, they're not chaotic, they're steady and stable and humbled. Cactus the arm bones. Shrugging the shoulders down and back, forearms fall back. Allow for a slight lengthening through the back of the neck, the back of the head. And with the exhale, nice and slow, think about rotating your ribs, elbows will follow to the left. Here we go. Stay for a breath, still pressing firm down through the feet. Exhale, come back to center. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time, inhale. Exhale, we rotate. Lead with the ribs, lead with the heart, the elbows will follow. Notice that begin to open up the thoracic spine, the upper back. Exhale, come back to center. Beautiful. Reach forward, one long line from back heel to crown of head. Arms can be forward or back or on the chair. Now, coming from that external rotated position of the right thigh bone, pop that right heel high, squeeze the right hip to face that left heel, get heavy in that left heel, look forward, ready, fly up, warrior three. As you find that strength through the left leg, that left sit bone, that left butt cheek is reaching up, that right butt cheek is reaching down. It may be balanced, maybe find reach, length, a little bit of a up dog or curl with the upper spine, shoulders shrug away from the ears. Beautiful, nice and slow, curl the right knee in. Beautiful, and then step the right toes in behind the left leg, crisscrossing the ankles so that the pinky toes align. Grab your blocks. Press your hands down, bring your heart forward. Square your hip bones back, so left hip bone has to actively drag back, right hip bone forward, and then move your sternum forward. Press the big toe mounds down, lighten the toes, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands to the left, sink your hips to the right. Get longer from right hip crease to right shoulder. As you draw breath, as you draw length there, think about creating space through the rib bones, through the lats, through the armpit. Walk your hands back towards the center. Beautiful, lift up halfway. Unravel that right leg from behind you and curl it in as you bend the left knee. And then nice and slow, when it feels safe for you, you don't have to, but you have the option, curl up and hold in that balance. That left glute is going to fire and stabilize as hips come square. Exhale, plant the right foot down, feet are hip distance apart, all 10 toes forward. Squeeze the tailbone under, hug the ribs in, inchworm your spine all the way up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Good, cactus the arm bones in your chair, sit deeper. Sit deeper. Can you feel the hip bones hug to the ribs? Can you feel like the outer thigh bones are squeezing apart to stabilize and activate those outer hips for 3, for 2, 1, forward fold, let it go. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms, step back to your plank. Beautiful. From your plank, traction wrist creases back. Index fingers, pads, pressing down more firmly, looking forward. Good. Pushing hard away from the ground, elbow creases forward. 3, 2, listen close. Right knee lowers down to that midpoint of the mat. Drop the shoelace side of the right foot. Anchor the right palm underneath the right shoulder, index finger spiraling forward. Spin the left inner arch down. Squeeze right glute underneath left, and then begin to reach the left arm up or over for that modified side plank, modified Vasisthasana. Reach the left arm overhead. Now, really press the pinky toe edge side of that left foot down. And then lift the hips higher. You're gonna feel that shake through the adductor on the left leg, the inner left thigh. Good, lift higher, rainbow arc up. Almost like you're trying to squish the right side away from the earth for 3. Good, head back in line with heart. 2. Feel that juicy length. 1. Nice and slow, left palm down, left knee down. Knees wide. Sink your hips back, child's pose, rest. Drop the forehead. Drop the shoulders. And just notice that inner simmer as breath begins to burn and circulation begins to flow. It's like we warmed up honey beneath our surface and allowing it to move in a less viscous way. Give me 3 more belly breaths, feeling that buoyancy of your belly as the inhale draws the belly button down to your mat. And the exhale relaxes it towards your spine. Make your way back, down dog. From your down dog, inhale, raise your right leg. Big toe points to the left heel. Hips are square, shoulders are square. Beautiful. Now, bend the right knee, kick yourself in the bum with the right heel. A little bit of hamstring grab there. Now, begin to think about stacking your pelvis, lift the right knee up. Shoulders keep pressing back to the left heel. Good, finding fire hydrant. Now, lengthen your tailbone so that you're not dipping into lower back. You're almost hugging the right sit bone towards the back of the left knee. Now, lift the right knee a little higher. For 3, good for 2, look forward. 1, quietly step the right foot forward between the thumbs. Lower the back left knee. Now feel free to use your blanket, a soft block, anywhere on your mat to support this low lunge. Grab your blocks, your chair, whatever you need for balance, and then press firmly into the right heel, so lift your hips out 1 to 2 inches, and then walk the chest up. Now, take that lumbar arch out just like we did in Warrior 1, right? Because if we're in the full extension of the pose, we're gonna have to dip into the lower spine. So I want you to contract, bring that stira, that strengthen so we can find sukha. So pushing down, curl the hip bones forward like this outer left hip is trying to touch the inner right thigh. Good. And then allow yourself to push either the sole of the left foot down or the toes by soling in the shoelace side. Right, you're gonna feel that activation through the legs like they're hugging together. Reach your arms forward and up. Exhale, cactus your arm bones. Good, still contracting the thigh bones together into the pelvis. Get a little longer, wriggle up some length, breathe in. Exhale, leave the rib cage, the arms follow, twist to the right. Shrug the shoulders. Good, forearms keep falling back. Inhale back to center, stay for a round. Beautiful, breathe in. Good, forearms fall back, lead with the ribs, elbows follow, exhale, twist. Beautiful, staying here for 3, for 2. Lean the right palm, lean the left palm forward. As you lean the left palm forward to the top of your mat like a bow and arrow, plant the left palm down to the instep of the right foot. Now keep this bend in the right elbow. I want you to still feel that shoulder blade tuck in and cuddle to the spine. Tuck your left toes, and then when you're ready, as you push the left palm down, lift the left knee. Now really squeeze, contract the thigh bones to the hips. With the inhale, reach that right arm up to the ceiling. Exhale, bend the right elbow right back into the side body. Squeeze that back body. Inhale, straighten the right arm. Exhale into the side body. Last 3, and squeeze. Last 2, and squeeze. 1, look forward. Exhale, walk the right fingertips to the top of your mat. Now, Grab your blocks, your chair, whatever you need. Make sure they're stable. You're gonna straighten the right leg, pull right hip back and left hip forward, getting into a pyramid prep. So I really like to ground the right big toe mound, and then even shortening the stance if needed. Stay high on those back left toes. Really wrap the right hip crease back, so that right hip's trying to touch the wall behind you. You have a neutral, long lower spine, and then pull the left hip crease forward. Press down through the feet like you're trying to anchor into the earth. And then with the exhale, charge your heart forward. Stabilize through the hips, feeling that outer hip fire. Feel the tailbone lengthen as you almost tilt it straight back. One more breath as the sternum moves forward. Exhale, sweetly bend that right knee, lower the back left knee. Exhale, straighten the right leg. Come into Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits prep. Really wrap the right hip back. One more time. Tilt the tailbone to the back wall, right? So we're getting a big anterior tilt to the pelvis, like we're trying to shine more of the front hip bones towards the mat. And then softening the shoulders, bring the chest forward. Hello, hamstrings, right? Okay, now, think about the big toe mound, that flexed front right foot. With the inhale, press the big toe mound towards the mat, touch it, and then exhale, gently sweep the thigh bone back into the hip socket, flex the toes. Inhale, press it down again, all the while still keeping a soft bend to the knee, and then flex it back. 2 more. Rock it forward, press it down, rock it back. Notice the tilt of the pelvis as you do this, right? We're getting a little bit of nerve flossing, a little bit of soft tissue manipulation around the hips, the nerves, definitely the calves. Good. Rock it forward, low lunge. Beautiful. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Now, really magnetize that front foot towards the back heel. Strong in the right heel. Curl the tailbone forward to the right heel. Inhale, lift up. Option to use your chair. Good. Those legs should be on fire right now. Yeah. Okay, as you lift up, hug the ribcage back. Interlace the fingertips behind your hips if this feels safe. If not, again, you can just hold onto the chair and dig into that left hip flexor. Chase the knuckles to the back heel. Move the chest up. So instead of dipping into the lower back, I want you to squeeze the left hip crease forward. Find length in the spine, and then find the clasp and find length. Good. Last 3, 2, 1. Release the hands. Nice and slow. Straighten the front leg. Turn all 10 toes to face the long edge of the mat. Now I'm just going to turn around so I'm facing the camera. Okay, so as you turn to face all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat, right, so that right foot should still be towards the top of the mat. I want you to slightly pitch the heels out, big toe mounds in, finding almost a little pigeon-toed stance. Now really lift the arches of the feet by lifting the toes and press more firmly through the outer heel edges. Already, if you have tight, sticky ankles, you might feel this through the outer ankles. Hands to hips. Now, remember those pelvic rocks we did at the beginning of class? Notice if you rock the hips forward, what happens? Notice if you rock the hips back, what happens? Right, as you rock it forward, you're gonna get really strong, but the butt's gonna squeeze forward. You're gonna feel that more in the inner thighs. You rock it back, it's like the inner thighs can release, you can get more space. So rock the sit bones back, rock the pelvis forward, lengthen up, and then keep pressing through the outer heel edges. You're gonna hinge with a flat back. Hands can come down to blocks or props, whatever you need, chairs, blankets, small children, and just begin to walk those hands underneath you with a flat spine. Now, take a look at your feet, right? We're pretty close to them, you never get this angle. Lifting the toes, find the arches of the feet, really let them work. Good. Now maybe walking the hands back in line with the feet a little bit more. Maybe the crown of the head comes down too. Doesn't have to today. Doesn't have to ever, as long as you're just still feeling stretch of the inner thighs. And then a tilt of the sit bones to the ceiling if you're trying to moon the roof. Beautiful, last breath here. Walk your hands forward. Press it halfway up, hands to blocks, either on the middle or high side. Again, I just want you with a flat spine, and I want you stable. Now, really root down through the pinky toe edges side of the feet. Really feel like you're hugging the heels together. There's that inner shake. Now, I'm gonna bend my left knee. Bend the left knee towards the left toes. Lighten the hands and sink your body over into this little side lunge. This inner right thigh bone should be firing. Press into the left heel, bring it back to center, neutral pelvis, flat back. Here we go, bend the right knee, right toes go to right, middle toe on that right foot, right? You're sinking the weight of the body into that right glute. You're still hooking the left heel so you feel those adductors, the inner thighs, and then back to center. Good, keep going side to side, nice and slow with breath, observing containment and structure around the inner thighs, the outer heels, staying strong in the legs. Like they should be shaking like a leaf here. But again, we're never surpassing our edge. We're staying with breath. We're staying with awareness and sensation around our legs and body. Good, last set. So finishing left and right side, making sure you're equal. Hands again are still just light on those blocks. They're just there to support your upper body. Good. Last one. Come back to center. Look to the top of your mat. Spin, turn the right toes to face the top of your mat. Walk the hands to the top of your mat, bring your blocks with you, and then nice and slow, just step forward, top of your mat, forward fold. Let it go. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root to rise, inhale, reach all the way up. Beautiful, nice and slow, draw extra length up, maybe a little extension at the back. Exhale, hands to heart. Find your feet, Tadasana, mountain pose. Come back to your breath. Notice your internal state. Lighten the toes. Lengthen your tailbone. Wriggle up a little bit more length. Maintain that inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Swan dive forward. Exhale. Halfway lift, elongate. Breathe out and fold. Plant your hands, step back to your plank. Now, we're going to change it up here from our original flow. But again, you don't have to listen to me. I just give you options and you make responsible choices. So rocking the weight forward, feeling the finger pads get heavy, feeling the tight toes get light. Nice and slow. Hugging the wrist creases tighter together, elbow creases turn forwards. Bring your hip bones to meet your wrist bones, taking this modified up dog. Roll the shoulders down and back as you bring that extension to the upper spine. Lift the skin behind the ears up. Now exhale, curl the tailbone to the heels, bend the elbows, low plank, right, that chaturanga. Roll over the toes, take that up dog. Exhale, back to down dog. It's good to change up our vinyasas, right? We get so accustomed and kind of conditioned to one that kind of check out, so it's nice to check back in. Beautiful, raise your left leg. Gently press that right heel down, get into the right calf. Now, bend the left knee, draw the left knee up. Now, squeeze the right hip bone in towards the right rib. Then think about the right sit bone and draw it down towards the knee as you lift the left knee higher. This should take a little rounding out of the lower back. Still squaring shoulder girdle to that right ankle. One more breath. Lift the knee. Exhale, look forward. Slow, slow, slow step. As if you're trying not to scare a newborn baby. Drop the left foot forward to the left thumb. Now sweetly lower the back knee. I'm going to keep my back toes tucked just because I feel a little bit more grounded in my practice here, a little bit more activation. Grab your blocks in the middle, our highest height. And then coming into Anjaneyasana, low lunge, firming that left heel, magnetizing it to the back right knee, walking in and up. Now really curling tailbone forward, hug the ribs back, roll the shoulders down, adjust close as needed. And as you sink into that hip flex, I want you to still feel that action of squaring the hips, right? We're still trying to find a neutral pelvis, keep the both of the pelvis still quite stable. Now wrapping that outer right hip to the inner left knee, lengthening up with a little more space. If it feels safe, reach up. Good. Hug your rib bones to the back body, right? So draw that front rib cage in and back. Drop the shoulders. Cactus your arm bones, waving the shoulder blades together and feeling the forearms lean back. Head high. Breathe in. Nice and slow. Lead with the ribs. Elbows will follow. Twist to the left. Stay for a breath. Exhale to center. Good. Stay for a breath. Still lifting the back of the heart. Still leaning the forearms back. Nice and slow. Here we go. Exhale. Twist to the left. Beautiful. Stay here. Reach that right arm forward. Now still hugging that front heel to the back right thigh. And feel that little inner shake. Reach that right arm forward. Get longer from right hip crease to right hand. And then daintily plant it back to the earth underneath the shoulder, index finger pointing forward. Keep this left elbow bent. Open up the collarbones. Tuck the back right toes, lift the back right knee. Now, nice and slow. Pushing the right hand down. Dig the left hip crease back. Inhale, straighten the left arm. Exhale, squeeze left arm to side body. Feel that hug the shoulder blade in towards the spine. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Pushing away from the ground. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Last time, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen, reach up and overhead to the top of the mat. Really revolve the ribs to the left wall. Squeeze left hip back. Exhale, unravel left palm down to the mat. Now, grab your blocks, middle or highest height. Straighten your left leg, pyramid prep. So as you straighten the left leg, you might have to move the right toes in. That's okay, you should. Finding a strong leg, like you're digging the soles of the feet into the ground. Wing the left hip back, right hip forward. Pushing down, move the sternum forward. Inhale, grow. Exhale, maybe bend the elbows and soften. Inhale, keep driving the tailbone back, almost tilting the sit bones to the base of the gluteal cleft to the back wall, heart forward. Exhale, fold. Good, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, rock a bend into that left knee. Sweetly place the right knee down. And then keeping the toes tucked, straighten your left leg back. You need to adjust, pick up that ankle. Go ahead, Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits prep. Now, drive the sit bones back. Move the heart forward. And then keep a soft, gentle bend in that knee, so we're never locking out the joint. But then really drive that left heel down, really anchor that contraction into the leg. Soften the shoulders. How can we find some lightness here? Right, as much as we're applying effort, where's the ease? Where's the sweetness, the sukha, right? Stira and sukha. Sukha being sweetness, softness, and then stira being strength. Feeling that hold around the body. Beautiful. With the next inhale, begin to rock the big toe mound on that left foot towards the mat. Press it in. Again, still tipping the sit bones back, heart forward. Exhale, flex the toes back. Inhale, rock it forward, press. Exhale, rock it back. Keep going. Notice if you're death gripping your blocks, if you can even relax the fingertips here. Last two. Good, last one. Rock it forward, big toe mound lands. Nice. Move your blocks forward. Tuck your back toes with your back leg. Squaring your hips in space right here, right now. Hugging front heel to back right big toe. Curl the tailbone forward to the left big toe. Then use that arcing action to caterpillar up your spine, reach up, crescent lunge. Again, you can use a chair or wall at any point in time. Now, stabilizing into the pelvis. Maybe push out a little bit, tip the sit bones forward, and then sit deeper. Yeah, you can offer a little bend to that back knee if needed to pull that right hip crease forward. Reach the arms if that feels safe. Bend the elbows, squeeze, shoulders down and back. Breathe in, breathe out and twist to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale one more time to the left. Inhale to center. Beautiful, sit a little deeper. Keep hugging the tailbone to the top of your mat. Lift the head, straighten the arms. Exhale, straighten the front leg, hip to turn all 10 toes to face the long edge of your mat. Nice. Okay, so let's have everyone face me. Yeah. Sometimes I get a little turned around, especially when I'm trying to mirror teach. If I'm mirror teaching or not, it really throws everything off for myself. It's always a good time. Okay, so once again, finding that wide leg forward fold, really pressing down through the outer heel edges, lifting the arches of the feet, right? We're not collapsing the inner ankles, we're pushing them firm. Now, engaging the inner thighs, should feel that squeeze. Connect your palms behind your hips. Interlace your fingertips so that the grip is a little awkward, so we're switching the grip from our normal, natural feeling grip. Hug the tailbone forward, push down through the legs, create that activation, chase the knuckles down, lift the chest up, take that back bend so the glutes need to squeeze forward. We're getting that inner thigh bone action. Now, rock the sit bones back, open up the space with the inner thighs, hinge in the hips, allow the knuckles to fall away from the hips. Again, soft bend to the elbows, you're pushing the wrist creases together. Let gravity do the work for you. Hands to hips. Inhale, lift yourself up halfway. Good, maybe you grab your blocks, maybe you don't. Choose your own adventure, maybe use a chair, sofa, whatever. Again, staying heel heavy. Another set of those side lunges. So nice and slow, I'm gonna start to the right. Bend the right knee towards the right toes. Keep pressing firmly through the outer left heel edge. Chest goes forward like hands. Inhale to center. Here we go, other side. Bend the left knee to the third toe on the left foot. Lunging and get weight bearing on that left leg. Press back to center. Keep going side to side.
Again, hands are just there for balance. Sit bones are long, spine is flat. Good, last one. Finishing it on the left. Beautiful, come back to center. Hug the tailbone forward and under, hip bones to ribs. Curl, caterpillar, your way back up to standing. Legs should be shaking, oh my goodness. Oh, you feel that shake? Okay, heel to your feet a little bit, just shortening the stance, so that when you reach your wrists out, the heels should almost be underneath the wrists. Turn your heels in, turn your toes out to face the top corners of your mat. I'm gonna just move my blocks here. Okay, now, already from here, just take a look down at your feet, hands to hips. I want you to find the inner arches of your feet, so lift the toes. Put more pressure through the outer heel edges rather than the inner arch. Quietly lower the toes, make sure we're not putting too much pressure. Now, pull the hip bones, zipper them in and up to the ribs. So you're gonna get extra long through this belly to hip waistline trunk. Now hands to hips, imagine there's a wall behind you, nice and slow. Begin to bend the knees towards the third toe on the feet. Again, wall behind you, knees are pulling wide, using those outer hip muscles to pull the thigh bones wide and sink, and sink, and sink into Goddess Durga. If you need a block or a chair underneath your bum, go ahead, place it. Now, notice if you're pitched forward. Squeeze your bum, hug the tailbone under, use your core to lift the ribs up, flat back. Reach your arms forward. Can we sit deeper? So that the thigh bones are almost parallel. Now take a look at the knees. Are they bowing in? Can we hug them out a little bit? Yeah, it's supposed to feel like work. Squeeze the elbows back and then tip the forearms up. Good, Durga squat, sit deeper for 3. Glutes should be shaking 2. Straighten the legs, reach up. Hands to heart center, pause. Breathe in, breathe out. Pivot, turn all 10 toes to face the front edge of your mat. And then just step the right foot in so that you're on train tracks. And then if you want, you can use your blocks or grab your chair. I'll show this with a chair too. If you're never demonstrate with a chair. Getting into proper Parsvottanasana pyramid. So left foot forward, right foot back. Wing left hip back, right hip forward. Curl the tailbone under, lift the spine. Push down to the legs like you're trying to tear your mat in half. And then hinging from the hips, try to draw this right rib forward, left hip back. Begin to protrude the chest forward, tip the sit bones back, so you create this flat lower spine with sort of a tray of scaling. Do not drop it. Good, keep pushing the feet down firmly as if you're trying to tear the mat. Then maybe hands land into the chair. With the flat back, begin to square the hips back, keep pushing the tailbone back, feet down. Maybe you drop to the forearms, the forehead. Either way, just come to a place where you feel that outer left IT bend, so outer hip, outer thigh, outer knee, outer shin. Anywhere along that connected line there. And then notice your breath as you soften it, right? Really opening up those IT bands, the connective tissue around it, outer hamstring, outer quad, right? Even the connected point of where the IT band inserts in towards the outer tibia. A lot of great connective tissue there that you might need to gain a little bit more elasticity. Slow your breath. Now, really notice your sit bones in space, notice the bowl of your pelvis in space, right? We're tipped forward, so the hip bones are parallel to the ground, and the tailbone's reaching back as if you're trying to get longer in your spine. And if you're still wanting more sensation, I even like to pick up the left big toe and just turn it slightly inwards. And then maybe you don't actually need your chair, maybe drop hands, maybe walk them all the way forward with a flat back, just fine, the shape that works for you for 3. For 2, 1, soften the front knee, curl the tailbone down, one more time, inchworm your way all the way back up. Good. Roll the shoulders down, back, step forward, and all we're gonna do is just step the left foot back. Just simply switching sides, nothing too complicated about it. Set up your props. Now hands to hip bones, really feel the bowl of your pelvis turn to face the front. So really feeling the tailbone lengthen. Yeah, so I would even shorten the stance if needed. Yeah, I really even like having maybe 2 feet between the front and back foot. You can still get just as an effective stretch. Now, pressing down through the heels, pressing down through the big toe mounds. Curl the tailbone under, lengthen the spine. Nice and slow. You're gonna reach left and forward, right hip back. You're gonna hinge, flat back, good. Make sure you're not locking up that front knee. There's still a soft whisper of a bend. With a flat back, you can serve a tray of tea here. Right, so we're not deviating right hip underneath the left. The left is still pulling forward, the right hip is still pulling back.
Still firming the legs down into the earth like you're trying to draw tree roots down. Hands can land, palms can land, forehead can land. Let your breath bring you back. And again, adjusting that right big toe now, maybe inwards just slightly, just noticing how that changes sensation for you, if it does at all. And again, you don't have to drop the forehead. I just want you with a square pelvis, long spine. So you might even feel a little bit of hollowing in of the belly as the sternum pulls forward and the sit bones push back. It's like we're trying to grow our spine in space. Like someone's pulling the hip creases back and someone's pulling the armpits forward. And your breath is just buoyant in the middle. Beautiful. Taking it to your length, last 3 breaths, however you would like it. Maybe you move the chair, maybe you don't. Maybe you use blocks or just the ground and get a long, flat spine. Beautiful. Soften into that front knee, look forward. Nice. So bend into the right knee as much as you can. Lift the left heel and then just draw the left knee down. Tip the left heel to the side and come sit on your bum. That was the smoothest transition I could think of there. Almost like breakdancing. Okay, my friends. Move your blocks. Keep your bolster close by. And then I want you to bend the knees, come onto your back. Squeeze the knees in. Give yourself a big compressive squeeze. Breathe in all that comfort, that content, that work. Pull the ankles around. Beautiful. Arms branch open. Supine twist. If you need to modify, use blocks or bolster, go ahead. I'm going to drop the knees to the right, any amount. Sink the left rib cage. I actually like to dig the elbows down, burrow them in so I can clear out more space in the upper back and lay the head heavy. Relax the jaw, the neck, the throat. Just allow your breath to spiral around that waistline, juicing up those inner organs, creating better connective pathways through the spine to the nerves. Relax the toes. Rest the shoulders. Use your next inhale to draw back to center. Reset hips and lower back as needed. Let the knees about halfway up or all the way up. And nice and slow twist to the left. Knees can fall or be supported by props, blankets, pillows, whatever you need. Sink the right shoulder down and make space for your neck so the shoulders fall away from the ears. If you're really tight through the pecs, you'll probably feel that right pec trying to hop up. Just allow it to open down. If you're really tight through the hips, you might even feel that pull through the outer right hip. That's okay. Let your breath slow as you fall into the amplified sensations of the inner body. Notice that buoyancy of your breath, the gentle ring out at the bottom of your exhale. Come back to center. Reset your hips, and I'm going to ask you to just curl up, grab your bolster. Now, I'll show you 2 variations for this before we sign off. I guess we're cutting it close today because, you know, I'm bad at following time when you get so excited about yoga. Your first block is going to be on its flattest point. Your second block is going to be right behind it, like a little step. So first block, lowest point, second block, middle height, so that the long edges of both blocks face you. Your bolster is going to be laid upon it. The blocks are quite close to almost the very head of the bolster. And then sweetly situate the hips, the pelvis just in front of the bolster.
If you do have a stickier lower back, feel free to lift that bolster higher with one more block or another pillow. Right, the idea here is just to build a ramp. And then sweetly, you need to lower your spine down up over the bolster. Let the hips be long, adding to that extension of the lower back. Good, I even like to bend the knees and pull the tailbone forward a little bit more. And then reset the legs anyway. Drop the arms open beside you. Now this is where we take our final resting pose, our Shavasana. I just want you to allow your body to fall back in space. Sigh out any gripping or holding. Drop the back of the hands so the fingertips can curl in naturally. Let gravity take the ankles out any amount as you sink the glutes. And once more, reconnect with the slow rise and fall of your belly. If it feels safe, I'll invite you to close your eyes. If not, you can just find a focal point to gaze at the drishti to slow the prefrontal cortex, the front of your brain, that third eye spot. Just revel in all of the work that your body has done. Marvel in its strength and energy. Marvel at your progress as you plant the seed of wonder for this freedom to move. Let yourself drift back as I'll call you out in a few minutes. Let the shoulders melt down from the ears and just realign with spaciousness. Give yourself permission to let go. Open up to rest. Once more, becoming more aware of that inner yielding, that slowing down, that checking in. Take a cleansing breath in. Audible sigh out. Take one palm to cup the back of your head. Lean into the other arm as you plant it face down and use your core. Use that other arm, the head, to support yourself back up to a comfortable seat. And then just find a comfortable seat on your mat as we close out together. Sitting tall, noticing a neutral pelvis, as if the pelvic bowl could just sit flat and neutral, relaxing the shoulders, the belly. Draw hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Humble your chin with gratitude. Take a moment to plant the seed of gratitude for this land that we are so fortunate and privileged to be able to practice upon. Take a moment to thank all of the teachers that have come before us. Take a moment to acknowledge the teacher that lies within all of us. May you be happy, healthy, and walk through each day full of light. From my heart to yours.